Over the last 2 decades, people in the investing world and the business worlds, they've gotten a lot more comfortable talking about spirituality and how that intersects with real world results in business, in investing returns, in personal development. So I'm excited to have a conversation with Christina Suter today about this. I myself have been on a spiritual journey over the last 10 years, as an entrepreneur and as an investor. So yeah, I'm excited to hear your thoughts on this, Christina. You have some strong beliefs, which I'm excited to dive into. So for those who don't know her, Christina Suter is a professional real estate investor. She's been retired since 2000. She's also a registered investment advisor. And her business is through Christina Suter Consulting. So Christina, welcome. Yeah. And I'm excited to get weird and woo-woo with everybody.
Let's do it. Weird and woo-woo. I love that, Brian. Actually, it is pretty weird and woo-woo. There are a lot of people who, even though, I remember I was walking through the airport like 6 years ago, maybe it was almost 8 years ago. I was walking through the airport like 8 years ago. And I remember seeing this sign of this businessman all done up in his business. And he was in my cross-legged position doing his mudras, floating. And I went, oh, spirituality is finally here. If mass media marketing is showing some business dude, right, meditating and floating while he's doing it, levitating, I'm like, okay, there's some space here for spirituality geeks, right, or weirdos. I definitely was born in the wrong generation. I should have been born in the 1970s. I'm a great believer in meditation and energy work and really grounding yourself so that you're present for the people in front of you. I am pathetically attached to that. I'm just saying. And I do a whole volunteer team and I do classes on this, leadership classes. What does it mean to be a leader in your community, being present, eyeball to eyeball to the people in your world. So that sense of leadership comes from an authenticity. I'm deep into it, Brian. You can see I'm deep into it. I have drunk the Kool-Aid and I even produced the Kool-Aid in some ways.
Good. Drunk that Kool-Aid.
I do. But I think one of the things that really helped me a lot when I became financially free in 2000, right? I was a teacher, right? I was a receptionist. I worked in childcare. I didn't have a big budget, a big nut I was replacing. So when I sold a property up in Healdsburg, which got discovered as wine country, and it had tripled in value in California, and I bought an apartment building in Van Nuys with that money, I was now financially free. Oh my God. I replaced my whole salary. Okay, it wasn't a big salary, but I did replace the salary. Okay, like that's what happened, right? And then I went, I'm going to do the American dream. I'm going to retire. And I did nothing for 6 months. And you know what? I was upset as all hell. I hated it. I'm like, nothing to do. I am bored. I am upset. And I felt guilty going to get a job because now I was financially free. I didn't want to take that job from somebody else. So what I discovered was I actually really want to have a sense of purpose and direction in my life. And to be without it was actually, I could just debased who I felt I could be in the world. So if money was the solution, I clearly missed the story because I now had the money I needed, but I didn't have the experience of what financial freedom was supposed to be. What did it mean? And it started me on a bit of a quest to understand that. And over time, through the consulting work I started in 2007, I started my consulting work as part of my sense of let's do something with my time that's meaningful, right? So let's do the consulting work and add meaning to people's lives out of the meaning I have found. So I started to go, what is that? And what I discovered was money was never where freedom existed. It was in here where the freedom existed. So if I'm waiting someday for having that vision in my head, I always love the vision in my head. I'm waiting for the vision in my head to become reality, right? We have a vision in our head of what financial freedom means. That's where we get to have freedom. But wait a minute, I got freedom and I didn't have it. So what was wrong? What was wrong was the truth about the vision in my head was I was looking for the joy and the peace. I was looking for the sense of direction, the sense of permission, self-permission to live the life I wanted to live. That was what I was looking for. I was looking for the permission to live a free life. And I was using money as a thing in the way between me and having that permission. Well, I'm going to suggest, how about we just get rid of that whole concept? I would say a bad word, but basically, whatever that, let it go, because really the joy comes from actually being on purpose and doing stuff. That's where joy comes from. So when you understand what that vision is, in 20 years from now, your vision is that you're going to be this and you're going to live that kind of life and you're going to have this kind of joy. And you doubled up that back all the way till today. And you commit today to this is the life I'm going to create. And I'm going to climb that mountain and I'm going to take that on and I'm going to show up for that. And I'm going to get rid of the things that are in my ego and in my way that are stopping me from doing that. Guess what shows up pretty quickly, faster than the money does?
The feelings that you're actually looking for.
Right. The feelings you're looking for.
Yeah,
the feelings you're looking for show up.
Everyone who I've ever heard speak about manifesting, has sort of a similar prescription for this, right? Of feel those feelings that you want out of, that whatever that result is you're looking for, whether it's money or a house or, whatever it is that you're looking for, there's behind that physical thing is a feeling, right? And if you can feel that feeling now and really live that way now, then, you, first of all, you get to skip the 20 years.
Why not skip it? Right? Why not skip the 20 years of waiting, right? Okay, go.
It will show up a lot easier for you.
It will.
It's funny. I have interviewed a lot of people who have retired early, reached financial independence, and they all went back to work. Because there's only so long you can sit on the beach sipping pina coladas, right? I mean, you get bored, correct. You get fat, you become an alcoholic, right. You can't do it very long. It's unfulfilling. So they all went back to work, but they did it on their own terms, like you did. Doing things that are fulfilling for them. So,
that's right.
We talk a lot on this show and in our business, obviously about, passive real estate investing and, building those streams of passive income and reaching financial independence. But at the end of the day, you don't need to reach financial independence to live that dream life that you're ultimately looking for. You just need to cover any shortfall between what your dream work, that fulfilling work you want to do, what that pays and what you want to spend, right?
If I may, I'm going to fine-tune that even more. Even if you have to do a job you don't like, if you're building the dream, I'm adding to the stream. 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 I am not giving up on my dream, on myself, on my freedom. The joy you have in showing up for that job that is feeding your dream because you're pulling income from it or time from it or skills from it that feeds your dream means that you're still committed to your dream. You're not committed to them. You're not committed to the job. You're committed to what is adding to your value and your dream and your self-commitment. And that self-commitment is what creates the joy and the confidence and the ease of I'm on it. Now, I have to interrupt for one more reason. I promised the conversation about money. So let me finish that conversation because I promised and I want to keep my promise.
Yeah.
So what I discovered over time was, okay, now I have money. I can spend a little bit more as my portfolio grows. I spend a little more. But what I discovered was that I could still trip across this concept of, well, I need money. And it's like, wait a minute. Do I really need money? Yeah, I need money. Okay, look, I need shelter. Okay, let's not go cray here. Yeah. I need shelter and I need food. Okay, I may not need a lot of shelter. Room shares don't cost very much. Right? I may not need a lot of shelter, and I may not need more than just a good solid meal 3 times a day. Right? But beyond that, everything else is discretionary. Wait a minute. If I just calculate my shelter and my food, my car and car insurance, and I make it all minimal, and everything above that is discretionary, I'll bet you've got more money than you think you do.
Oh, yeah.
The question.
Our basic needs don't cost that much money. Now, most of us don't want to live at that sort of baseline level, but you can, and it's cheap.
But you can, and it's cheap to do. And therefore, and anything you add, by the way, if you're above that baseline level, that's choice. I've worked with people on their personal finances for 15 years now. And literally what I've discovered is that what people spend that quote unquote money on that's above and beyond basic shelter and need and food is variable. It could be polo ponies. It can be dogs. It can be a mom. It can be kids. And when you relate to, but wait a minute, now I'm actually stating my value. When you meet 20 different people who all spend that extra. But you understand, Christina, my core budget includes my polo ponies, or my core budget includes my dog's health. I'm like, oh, they're not spending money for money. They're spending money for value. What do they value in their life is where they spend their money. And that big home is a statement of value, or that smaller home is a statement of value. So when you double back to understand every dollar you spend is actually a representation of the values you have a whole new level of control over where that money goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we talked a minute ago about that finding that dream work, or that fulfilling vision for your life, part of one of the benefits of figuring that out early on, or approaching that long before you reach financial independence, is getting really clear on your values. To your point, what are your priorities? What is your vision for your life? Because too many of us just drift downstream in life, right? And get carried along, trying to keep up with the Joneses and whatnot, working jobs that we're not that excited about, maybe hanging out with people that we're not that excited about. But the clearer you can get on what your dream life looks like and what your highest priorities are, the more likely you are to actually start living that way. So anyway, I love all of that. Christina, is there anything else that you want to add to make sure that this concept is, drives home for people?
I think those two together are good. We'll call it good, Brian. That's all good.
Well, Christina, in 30 seconds or less, how do you help people, and how can people connect with you?
I help people by helping them use real estate as the tool, money and real estate as the tool to get to a life of purpose and values. And what does that mean? Starting with purpose and values first.
Yep.
Money and real estate second, and letting it be your tool. I do it through my consulting work, ChristinaSuter.com. Pretty easy to find. Suter, S-U-T-E-R. And my phone number, guys, you can text me directly and we can set up a call. 310-463-5942. That is 310-463-5942. And Brian, you'd be amazed. I don't get very many calls. I am always fascinated with, I might get one or two from every show, and that's it. So if you want to talk to me, don't be afraid. Get your backside on the phone. Give me a call. Give me a text. Send me a smoke signal. Come on, guys. Let's have a conversation.
Well, I love how available you are. I would never want to give out my cell phone to people, but I love that. And guys, if you got a fresh perspective out of this episode, please pass it on. Pass it on to friends, family, neighbors, colleagues. And if you're new to the idea of passive real estate investing, which we just touched on very briefly in this particular episode, but which is what my partner and I do, we run an investment club. Check out a free course that we have, sparkpanel.com/free. We get into the 5 different types of passive real estate investments that are out there that you are probably not familiar with, and how you can invest in them with small amounts. And Christina, thank you so much for coming on today. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Brian. Love it.
All right, guys, stay weird and stay in touch.